Hola chicos, ¿cómo están? Welcome to El Subjuntivo. This is one of our final concepts in Spanish 3 and a little bit of an interesting one. So let's get started. Let's start by looking at this sentence right here. Tu madre quiere que hagas tus quehaceres. So what we have is two clauses, and they're divided by the word que, dividida en dos partes. So, cláusula uno y cláusula dos, let's look at those a little bit more. So, cláusula uno, the subject is ella, tu madre, and then in cláusula dos, it's tú. So, there's two separate things happening in this sentence, two clauses. And the verbs are also quite different. So, quiere is in cláusula uno and hagas in cláusula dos. So notice hagas comes from the verb hacer, and that's a different kind of conjugation than in a regular sentence. So what we're seeing in cláusula uno is called the indicative mood, el modo indicativo. And that is the mood, the way that we've spoken in Spanish up until now. This is things that happened, will happen. But the second is el modo subjuntivo, and that's what we're focusing on right now. This is a different mood. And so what does that mean, a different mood? So el indicativo versus subjuntivo. El indicativo indicates actions that are definitive, they're reality. They have occurred or they will occur. But the subjunctive indicates or expresses actions that are indefinite. They're possibilities, they're not realities. They might be something that you want or that you hope or that you doubt, that you suggest. And this is also present and the past, but for this lesson, we're only going to focus on the present subjunctive. Do you think we use the subjunctive in English? Your mom wants that you do your chores. Well, we say it a little differently in English. And you may notice that we do use it some, but it is used a lot in Spanish. So let's look at how to form that. The situations, when will you use the subjunctive? So the first situation is deseos or wishes. The second is emotions, emociones o sentimientos. Expresiones impersonales like es necesario que, es importante que. Recomendaciones, recommendations, sugerencias, consejos, duda, doubt, and uncertainty, incertidumbre. And then also with this word ojalá, which is also kind of like a deseo, but it means hopefully, and it comes from an Arabic word meaning God willing, like Allah willing. So I've got a funny acronym for you here, weirdo, to remind you of the situations in which you use these. So let's look at some examples. Quiero que vengas a mi fiesta. I want you to come to my party, or more literally, I want that you come to my party. So again, you see these two clauses divided by the word que. The second example, ella teme que hay una tormenta cerca. She fears that there is a storm nearby. So it's not a reality. It's something that she feels, and so it's a subjunctive. Es bueno que ellos corran mucho. It's good that they run a lot. It goes with this impersonal expression, es bueno que, or es importante que. El médico aconseja que yo tome jarabe. So the doctor advises that I take cough syrup, or sugiere or recomienda. No creo que tengamos un examen mañana. I don't think we have a test tomorrow. So this is showing doubt and uncertainty, and low likelihood. So be careful though, because if you said creo que tenemos un examen mañana, you do think it's a reality, and so you're speculating in the affirmative, and that is actually, you would still use indicative. But when you doubt it, then it is subjunctive, tengamos. Ojalá, again, like hopefully, ojalá que duermas bien esta noche. Hopefully you sleep well tonight. So you might notice that these second clauses all have verbs that may look a little bit familiar, and that's because they do come from the same process that we use with mandatos. So that process goes, if you don't remember, something like this. You take the yo form of the verb, you take off the O, and then for ER and IR verbs you add an A, or if it's an AR verb you add an E, so it's kind of the opposite. And with subjunctive you do have to add endings, which will look very familiar. So for hablar, hable, hables, hable, hablemos, hables, hablen. So this should look familiar to you, similar to the indicative mood, but then with this opposite A to E type ending. Here's for conocer. Now remember, the yo form is conozco, so we have that little stem that's a little bit different here, but again, because conocer is an ER verb, the ending is going to be A on all of those. That's the common denominator. For the verb decir, the yo form is digo, so that will be our stem is dig, and then the endings are just like an ER verb, all of the A, a, as, a, amos, ais, an. So there you have it for most verbs. Don't forget with cargar verbs that you have a spelling change, un cambio de ortografía. So for sacar, you need your QU in there to keep the sound consistent. Pagar needs a GUE. For verbs with ger, GER, you need a J to maintain the h sound. And then for verbs with ZAR, we need a CE at the end, so cruce. Those should hopefully look familiar as well. Here's the list of the irregulars in the subjunctive. Good news, there are not many, so go ahead and pause and write these down. They should also look familiar because of the mandatos, and the only ones that carry accents besides the vosotros form are dar and haber. Remember, haber is like there is or there are. So let's do some practice. Go ahead and pause your screencast and write down 1 through 7 and put these second verbs in the subjunctive form. Buena suerte. Okay, let's review. Número 1. La médica recomienda que usted coma más saludable. So we have been using mandatos a lot and simply saying coma más saludable as a mandato, but to put it in, oops, I spelled recomienda wrong. Whoops. Anyway, to put it more in a sentence form, or also to just maybe say it more gently, then that's basically what a subjunctive is when we're talking about a recommendation. It's like a mandato, but just in a gentler form of saying it. Número 2. Es importante que tú te estires. It's important that you stretch. 3. Deseo que nosotros tengamos computadoras nuevas. I wish we had new computers, or that we would have new computers. 4. Ojalá que yo me sienta mejor. Hopefully I feel better. And that is a boot verb, which we'll talk about later, but basically the verbs, the stem changing verbs still do exist in the subjunctive. Número 5. El entrenador exige que ellos lleguen a tiempo. The coach or trainer demands that they arrive on time. So again, it's not something that's taken place necessarily, but it's a recommendation or a desire. 6. Ella se queja de que haya tanta tarea en la clase. So she complains that there's so much homework in class. So in this case, the quejarse, she complains. It's kind of like an emotion. So that's why the second clause uses the subjunctive. 7, it also might not be a reality because it's just something that she complains about. I wonder who that might be. Número 7, dudo que esta unidad sea fácil. So I doubt that this unit is easy. Wonder if you feel that way. Well, thanks for joining me for Subjuntivo. Let's get practicing in class. El fin.